Hello, my name is Hope Newport, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this session on IFOPA Family Services, Connecting and Supporting Families. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Before we get everything kicked off, I wanted to review a few brief housekeeping notes. The chat box found below the video screen allows you to interact with each other and program staff, and we hope that you'll use this opportunity to make some new connections. You'll see a Q&A tab located next to the chat. We encourage you to use the Q&A box to share your questions with the presenters. This is your time to find answers and insights to your questions about IFOPA Family Services programming. Please note that the speakers will not be able to see any questions entered into the chat area rather than the official Q&A section. If you're not able to address all questions, we'll do our best to follow up after. To the right of the Q&A tab, you'll see a Wordly tab. To utilize translation, please click that tab and select your preferred language. If you have any questions about the technology or the program, please visit the Help tab found in the navigation bar in the virtual event space. And now to begin our session, IFOPA Family Services, Connecting and Supporting Families. Hi, I'm Hope Newport, Family Services Manager and Certified Child Life Specialist. I have been with the IFOPA for 3.5 years now. And this is my 4th family gathering. So I wanted to just start by saying thank you to all the community members who I've had the privilege of working with throughout the year, and especially to all of those of you who played a huge part in making the family gathering possible.
And I'm Karen Kirchhoff. I'm the Family Services Coordinator, and I've been here for just about 2 years now. So thank you for coming today, for being a part of sharing what we do with Family Services.
So we wanted to start our time off together by going over some of the key objectives that we strive to achieve in the family service programs we offer. And I want to start by saying that we recently went through sort of a planning process with the Family Services Committee, which is a group of caregivers, adults with FOP, and family members who provide input to Karen and I on our services. So we were able to identify these 3 key themes that really are the main heart of our family services programming. So all of the themes, all of the programs we're about to talk about, you'll see are represented in each of these different objectives. The first one we're going to discuss is connection. This, in our conversation with the Family Services Committee, was really the heart of our programming. It was really focused on how the IFOPA strives to create opportunities for community members to connect with one another and benefit from the sense of belonging, the feelings of support, and the camaraderie that a lot of times are hard to find when you're living with an ultra-rare disease. The second theme is disability services education. So this was focused on the work that Karen does chiefly, and I help support for families and patients to strive for independence while they manage and adapt to living with FOP-specific symptoms and the progression. And then lastly, disease-specific education. So this was really focused on how we can help provide current appropriate information for our families to help them be able to deal with those FOP-specific issues. And we'll start by focusing on some of our programs that help support connection. So first of all, the thing that brought us all here today, the virtual family gathering. We know that this is an amazing opportunity for members from around the world to meet and learn from one another. Not only is there a sense of the global connection, but also there's small groups of connection that happen throughout the weekend. So hopefully you all had a chance to attend one of our sessions on careers or on rhythms and routines, the adaptive tools people use that were led by community members. Those are great opportunities for connection throughout the weekend, as well as the persona groups that took place on Friday, which allowed moms, dads, adult men, women, siblings, and extended family members to have the opportunity to meet and connect and learn from one another. And then lastly, we wouldn't want to forget that connection happens throughout the weekend and throughout the year in the FOP community with more fun-focused events. We're not just a community that shares FOP, but we all have so many other great strengths that we share with one another. And so our fun-focused community social events or our self-care events were a great way to connect over those topics that are focused on something a little bit outside of the FOP. Throughout the year, though, because the family gathering is just once a year, there are more opportunities for connections. So one of those is through our Friendship Over Pages book club, which meets multiple times. And it's an opportunity for community members to, again, continue to meet and discuss something other than FOP. A lot of times, it's just a shared interest that they have in a book. So, for example, a few of the books we read this year, you'll see we have some fiction. The Little Prince was actually for children or adults. We could have had two different groups for that. The Power of Different, which is a little more science-based. We had an autobiography and a thriller. So a wide variety of books in the book club. And if you missed this year's meetings, you can keep an eye out. We'll be sharing the book club selections and an opportunity for people to join in one of those groups in the new year. An additional resource that we have to help promote connection throughout the year is our free Zoom account. So this was an opportunity for community members to connect and have fun over something like a happy hour, a crafting session, a virtual gaming session, or an emotional support group. And it's a really simple process. If you would like to lead a FOP community event on Zoom, all you have to do is contact Karen or I, and we're happy to help you reserve a time in a room and then help you spread the word about your event as well. But Karen and I do a lot of work just consistently throughout the year, one-to-one with families as well. And one of the ways we work individually with families is through our welcome calls. So a welcome call is an opportunity for a newly diagnosed, or it could be a new to the IFOPA community family, maybe someone who's been diagnosed but just hasn't found their way to us for one reason or another, to learn about ways that they can become more connected with the IFOPA and the community support. So through these conversations, we refer them to things like our online support groups. We have a significant number of Facebook groups for mothers or adult women, or just the larger, broader FOP community. We connect them to the treatment guidelines and the International Clinical Council on FOP, which is a group of medical professionals who specialize in FOP and are there to provide support to patients from around the world. And then we also will connect them to a national organization. Maybe there's one in their country, maybe a neighboring country, but it's an opportunity for us to help make sure that they're in touch with more of a local community who can be there to support them. And one of the ways that we like to help ensure that they stay connected through to the IFOPA through those conversations, something that we always mention is our patient directory. So our patient directory is sort of like a phone book for the community. It's an opportunity for us to help provide a platform for patients to continue to connect with each other one-on-one and to take initiative in searching out people who maybe live in this country they live in or in the state they live in. So you'll see you can search by either of those factors. It is also a great way for families to sign up for our e-newsletters. So when you complete a patient directory form, you will have the option to sign up for our newsletters, which will keep you up to date on all the programs that Karen and I offer throughout the year. And one important distinction we like to make, because there is sometimes a lot of confusion about this, is that the patient directory is different from the patient registry. The patient directory is a way to connect with other community members. The patient registry is actually a tool that is used to help encourage and provide information to researchers, anonymous, de-identified information, but information that researchers can use in their search for a treatment for FOP. So we encourage people to enroll in both of those programs. And if you have any questions about either of them, Karen or I are happy to share a little bit more information. And then last but not least, under connection, we like to mention that while the FOP community is very small but mighty, there are several other broader resources for rare disease families. So two associations that the IFOPA is a member of are NORD, the National Organizations for Rare Disease, and the Global Genes Foundation Alliance. And so we are members. We participate in several of their programs that they offer throughout the year, and we do our best to ensure that members of the FOP community are aware of their different program offerings and resources as well. And now we're going to turn to our next objective, which was disability services education. And I'm going to start us off by talking about two webinars that we did this year. We'll discuss a few of the podcasts that fall under this category here in a minute. but two of the webinars that we did that really focus on this ability for us to help serve families in their journey with a rare disease. The first was the Special Needs Financial Planning webinar, and that was just a great resource for people who maybe haven't started thinking about this, but to give you a little bit of the groundwork for how to begin to plan for financial needs for the individual living with FOP. And then secondly, we also did a webinar on discussing what matters most and planning for end-of-life care. So this was for, of course, the individual with FOP, but something that our presenter really focused on was that this is an important process for the whole family to participate in, and that it's something that you can do as a family and discuss early. You don't have to do it at the very end. And now I'm going to pass it over to Karen.
Thanks, Hope. So the Ability Toolbox program has existed for a little over 2 years now, and we're starting to make a lot of headway with awareness and exposure to adaptive equipment. And the main purpose of this program is to focus on mobility and helping individuals with FOP to be able to still do the activities they would like to do without having to rely so much on assistance from others. And we accomplish this through encouraging the use of tools and adaptive equipment and home modifications, and then sharing those ideas and solutions that we come up with the rest of the community. We also try to have a social media post every Monday that is tool or equipment focused. And I truly enjoy these posts the most when I can feature all of you. So please reach out to me and share any or all of the tools that you use, and I'll be happy to share them in our weekly social media posts. The other thing that we're able to do when you share your tips and pictures and videos with us is to catalog them for the community in an online database called the Ability Toolbox Online Guidebook. And this online guidebook is now live, so I encourage you to go take a look if you haven't already done so. And we are adding new tools and tips and home modification ideas often, but we still have a long way to go to make this a truly valuable resource for you. So check out the online guidebook and please reach out to me with anything you might want to share, because you never know what tool or trick you're using that might help someone else out as well. And especially if you are outside of the US, I could really use your help finding links to items that you're able to get locally, so that this resource will be a meaningful resource, not only for people in the US and Canada and Mexico, but also other countries around the world. And we are also adding a new search filter to the guidebook, that you will be able to search for items by country. So we definitely want to bulk up more tools and equipment that is found more easily in your country. Another disability services program that we offer is the Harold and Elaine Kaplan Quality of Life Awards. And this program is made possible largely in part to our very own Dr. Fred Kaplan, who generously donated to the funds in honor of his parents. And these awards are intended to be used to help purchase adaptive equipment or items that will improve your quality of life. You must have a confirmed diagnosis of FOP to apply, and there is a committee of FOP community members that will help determine the appropriateness of the award, just to make sure that we're using your funds to the best with best intentions. You do receive an $1,800 US dollar award for each individual with FOP, and that can be used at any point over your lifetime. There's a lot more information about this program on our website, and that's also where you can find the applications, which can be translated into any language using the Google button. And then lastly, another large program that we started under Disability Services Education is the Advocacy Series. So the Advocacy Series came about because Hope and I were receiving a lot of requests for support that had more to do with learning how to advocate for something that you may need versus actual tools or equipment or referrals to different resources. So we created this program at the beginning of 2021 to educate individuals with FOP or their caregivers or their family members or their support network to be an effective advocate and to be able to provide opportunities for the community to share their advocacy experiences with each other and learn from each other. For the topics that we've done this year, I'm going to cover in just a minute, but with each topic, what we provide is a podcast one month, a community panel the next month, and then we finish up with a resource webinar by some expert in the topic. And then what Hope and I are doing is we are creating worksheets and activities and things that go along with each of these topics, and we're putting them all together in a workbook that you are able to take a survey, send us your email or your address, and we can send you one of those workbooks free. So going through the different topics that we've been covering, Hope and I have been sharing responsibilities. And this first one, Hope, I'll let you talk about it. That was a little bit more your responsibility for the very first quarter.
Thanks, Karen. The first quarter, we focused on advocacy, you can make a difference. This was really, our goal was to help the community realize that advocacy isn't just some grand display when you go to legislator to advocate for your legal needs or your needs in the law. It can also be an everyday thing that you do. So Karen and I did a podcast where we introduced 10 skills for advocating for your rights. And then we had a community panel that was Miriam Rock, Luciana Wilkin, and then Ollie Collins, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. But all three of these community members did a wonderful job of sharing testaments to how they've advocated for their needs in a day-to-day setting. And we ended this quarter off with a webinar by Lisa Schill, who works for the Every Life Foundation. She shared some information about how you can be part of advocating for rare disease rights.
The second topic that we did during the second quarter of the year was advocacy at all ages. And just like Hope said, that advocacy doesn't have to be some grandiose gesture. We also wanted you to understand that advocacy can start at any age. Whether you're an adult and you want to improve your advocacy skills for yourself, or whether you're a parent with a young child with FOP, there's always an opportunity to start honing some of those skills that you may need to be a good advocate for yourself when you become an adult. So what we did for advocacy at all ages is we had a podcast with Amanda Callie, who we all know and love, and she shared some tips and strategies that she used with her sons when they were growing up to help them be a little bit more independent and not rely so much on others for things that they needed or things that they wanted to do. And then we had a community panel with Ian, her son, and Nikki and Patty, and they shared their experiences of advocacy. Nikki sharing experiences of how she's getting her daughter Isla involved, and Patty sharing experiences of what it was like to be a parent back when there weren't as many resources and the IFOPA wasn't as broad in the programs that they offer that we do have now. And then we ended up with a webinar from Dr. Samira Riaz, who is a clinical psychologist, and she works in the UK, and she provided a lot of really great information on how to raise a child and balance the life of not only your child with FOP, but with their siblings, and how to help them cope with some of the different challenges that they have throughout childhood while still managing to provide them opportunities to learn some of those skills to be more independent.
And in the third quarter, we focused on advocating in the medical setting. So this was really identifying some of the unique challenges that community members have when it comes to needing to be the expert, but also needing to work closely with your healthcare professionals and your care team. So we started off this quarter with a podcast that was done with Dr. Ed Schaub, who's a member of the International Council on FOP, Clinical Council on FOP. And he talked through, who are some of the important members to have on your care team? How can you work closely with members of your local care team and maybe a national FOP expert who isn't someone that you can see on a regular basis. We followed that up with our community panel featuring Saskia Blanc, Carly Henrote, and Laura Theoret. And they spoke on how they've advocated in the medical setting by using different tools such as a medical journal, which Carly created, a care map, which Laura uses to work with the multidisciplinary team of experts that her son sees. And Saskia spoke really about how her and her son Yorick have, her family and her son Yorick have worked to find the right fit for their primary care provider. Just ensuring that the relationship that they have set up as the person they go to for their medical needs is a safe and supportive space for them. And then we ended off this quarter by doing a webinar with FOP community member Steve Eichner and Julie Hilton from Medical Alert. And we really focused on a very valuable resource, Medical Alert bracelets or notification tags, which members of the community can use to be prepared to advocate in the medical setting.
Advocating for mobility and independence. And this is definitely near and dear to my heart and near and dear to the Ability Toolbox program. But for this quarter, what we're doing is talking about how do you access the tools and equipment that you need so that you can get out and do the things that you want to do and go out with your family and with your friends out in the community and have an improved quality of life. So we just finished up in October the podcast with FOP mom Lisa Galuli, who a lot of you may know from the FOP Moms group. And she shared a lot of her stories that she has been through advocating for equipment for her daughter, Sarah. And she shared some really interesting stories about some equipment that they've even learned how to make themselves when they couldn't find what they needed. So definitely go back to our website and listen to that podcast if you missed it. And then yesterday, if you listened in on the Ability Toolbox panel presentation, we incorporated the Advocacy Series community panel with the Ability Toolbox Living Well with FOP presentation, since they are all about the same topic of learning how to access tools and equipment. So from the US, we had Christy and Emma, and then we had Laurent from France. If you missed that presentation or watched another presentation yesterday, definitely go back to the website to see all the different tips and tools and strategies that they shared that they have used to really advocate for their mobility so that their child could be more involved with their peers, so that they could find a job, be employed, and have a career, and also how they maintain community activities and hobbies by using equipment to access those activities. And then in December, we will be having a webinar that is going to be about the largest piece of equipment that you typically need, and that's your wheelchair. And this is a huge mobility device. It is what helps keep you independent when you can no longer walk for long distances. So we're going to be having a webinar that is going to be talking about what do you need to do to prepare for those wheelchair evaluations, and what are some of the different things you need to think about to make sure that you're getting everything that you need out of your wheelchair to make sure that it does help you with independence. Wheelchairs should not be more limiting. They should be enhancing your independence. But if you don't prepare for that evaluation, then sometimes you're not going to get everything you need. So definitely tune in December to that webinar, and we will be announcing the date coming up very soon.
We wanted to cover a few of the disease-specific education resources that we share with the community. And Karen's going to start us off by talking about the skincare and FOP webinar.
Yeah, so two of the disease-specific webinars that we did this year. The first one we did was with the wonderful Dr. Patricia DeLye. She presented last year at the family gathering, and there was such a great response and so many really interesting questions that came up at the end of her presentation that we felt like it was important to do a separate presentation that was had a little bit more interaction and ability for people to ask questions of Dr. DeLye. So what she did was cover some common skin conditions, some product examples that you could use to help take care of your skin or be a part of your skincare routine, and then what to look for if something is going wrong with your skin. I tried to share tools and strategies that you could use to help with your skincare routines, just to make sure you take care of your skin, because it is the largest organ of the body and it can be an amazing preventative barrier to our health. But if it becomes infected or there's any disease in your skin, it can really impact your quality of life. So again, that's on the website. If you missed that, definitely go back and look at it. There's a lot of great resources that were provided.
And then last month in October, we did sort of a first of its kind feminine health issues and FOP webinar. So Dr. Mona Al-Mukaddam, who is one of the members of the International Clinical Council on FOP, she is an FOP expert here in the US. She partnered with Dr. Bo Park, who she's worked closely with for several different surgeries that were needed for women with FOP who had feminine health issue complications. So this webinar covered several common things that our female community members would like to see addressed, which were menstrual irregularities and hygiene, different forms of contraception, and how those can be used in managing menstrual cycles, and then also management options for uterine fibroids. Another resource that's new to the FOP community, we launched this program last year, is a Travel for Care dental stipend program. So this is an application that anyone can complete to receive up to $1,500, and these funds can be used to pay for transportation or lodging to travel to receive care for a dental procedure. So a few conditions to be aware of. It must be a child or adult with a confirmed FOP diagnosis, and this patient must be traveling to either see an FOP dental expert or they must have collaborated with an FOP dental expert to receive care. So we know that, FOP, the flare-ups that occur in our patients' jaws oftentimes can be caused by some pre-existing dental issues, and we really want to do our best to support the community in being proactive to address those issues. So we hope that if you're someone who has dental concerns and you're nervous about going in for a procedure from your local provider because they maybe don't understand all of your needs or you don't feel confident in their ability to perform the procedure, that you'll reach out to one of the FOP dental experts who partner with the IFOPA to help make this program possible for patients to receive the optimal level of care. And then second to last in the disease-specific education, you'll see coming back up again the family gathering. So we talked about this under connection, but there's obviously a great deal of FOP-specific education that takes place as well. So on our first day, you may have heard from our FOP medical experts panel and several clinical trial sessions where there was information about the research that is going on to help find a treatment for FOP and some of the different aspects of care that our families should be aware of in managing disease FOP progression. We also had patient and professional-led sessions. Yesterday, we had comfort care in FOP. There was managing outlook. So these sessions are really a partnership of members of the community who are sharing their experience with FOP and a different professional, whether it was a occupational therapist or an energy medicine professional who have partnered with the FOP community to help provide that support. And then last in the disease-specific education, we wanted to make sure you were all aware of our new Welcome Packet resource. So this resource is new this year and it is available in 8 different languages. It has resources on different IFOPA programs as well as some of our specific disease management guides, such as the Introduction to FOP Oral Health and our updated emergency medical card. So if you would like to receive this packet, you can request this online on our website, and we will mail you hard copies of these different materials and brochures. So lastly, just so that we know that you're all able to find the amazing programs and resources that Karen and I have been talking about, we wanted to give you a quick look at our updated patients and families section of the website. And something that's important to note is that this is a constant work in progress with all of our growing resources and contributions from the community. We know that this will be a growing and evolving sort of house for those different things. And so we welcome your feedback and input. So we will go over and take a look at the webpage, and then we'll come back and have time for any questions. So we wanted to just point out a few important updates that have happened on the Patients and Families tabs of our website. You can find all of this in the second bar on the navigation bar at the top. And when you click on Patients and Families, you'll see this side navigation bar. And so a few things that we wanted to make sure you were all aware of. Under managing your healthcare, you'll see that we now have all of the resources, including the oral health and dentistry guide that I mentioned. All of our emergency medical resources can be found here, as well as opportunities to connect with the FOP community. So these include things like our online support groups, our FOP Connection e-newsletter, and international organizations. But the important place for us to all be aware of are all of our resources for support, which are now housed by IFOPA programs and then also by age or stage of your journey with FOP. So we have resources for newly diagnosed families, we have pediatric specific resources, early adult and later adulthood resources, and under the IFOPA programs for the family, you'll find links to our Quality of Life Award, our dental care travel stipend, and our advocacy series materials. Thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, and we're here to answer questions now. We've had a couple really great questions come in. So Karen, I'm going to start. The first one is for you. Can you tell me a little bit about if the Quality of Life Awards, the Harold and Elaine Kaplan Quality of Life Awards, can those be used for tuition or for classes?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a stab at that. We are actually currently starting to revise and making the guidelines on the awards a little bit more clear. So be looking for that on the website after the new year. But if it is tuition that you are pursuing a degree that will allow you to be able to work, then you can use the Quality of Life Awards for that. Or if it is for some type of certificate that will allow you to be employed in some kind of trade, then yes, you can use the Quality of Life Awards for that. And we're currently trying to decide, and I think we are going to be able to start using them for like a webinar or something that is going to teach you something of how to cope and live with FOP. So if it's also something that is related to an educational series about rare disease, then that's something new in 2022 that we will be offering. Good question.
So if it was sort of like a workshop or a one-time thing that people could attend, not paying for a counseling or something that would be ongoing like that. Okay.
Right. That's the one misconception I think a lot of people have is we can't use the Quality of Life Awards for something like a medication or a doctor's visit or something that you are going to have to do on a regular basis. It's just a one-time item that you will be purchasing.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. A couple questions have come in kind of related to dental health. So if you missed yesterday's panel, there was a great discussion between several FOP anesthesia dental experts that really focused more on a little bit of the dental health precautions that we recommend or that Dr. Clive Friedman recommends. But this question was about finding a dental hygienist who specialized in supporting the needs of a patient with FOP. And so I guess I would say that we do have the handout we referenced in our talk, which by age breaks out the different steps families should be taking. But then if someone is looking to kind of take the next level and meet with their dental hygienist to ensure that they're having regular cleanings and that those cleanings are as efficient or effective as possible, I would really encourage families to connect with Dr. Clive Friedman, who does a great job. He's always more than happy to work with families and with their local hygienist. He gave an example actually yesterday in that talk, and he said a mom was going to take her child to a dental procedure, and before she would let that doctor perform the procedure, she had him there on WhatsApp, and she made him talk to Dr. Friedman on the phone just to make sure that they were on the same page. So he is very willing and ready to assist families if you're having any concerns about finding a qualified dental hygienist to help with that next level of care. So, and then a question about the dental stipends. So our Travel for Care dental stipends, those are really, the qualifications for that is that it's a dental procedure. And so that does not necessarily just have to be surgery, but it does have to be a procedure that has a significant benefit to the quality of life of the patient or is medically necessary. So if someone was wanting to travel, or if someone was wanting to get, I'm blanking on the word right now, but Invisalign, something to help with the straightening of their teeth. That can be more of a cosmetic treatment, but it can also be medically necessary. So it would really just depend on the conversation with the patient's dentist and making sure that it was the best use of funds, that it would have a medical benefit to the person. And then a question also about the topics for the advocacy series in 2022. So Karen and I have been working on the advocacy series for next year, and we do have a couple of topics in mind. We are looking forward to diving deeper into sort of, for young adults with FOP who have finished high school, what are the next steps in terms of, are they wanting to explore vocational paths, careers, post-secondary education. So we will most likely be doing a quarter on that. And then I know Karen had a really great session earlier today where they dived deeper into working on finding resources for people who are wanting to drive with FOP. So adaptions to the vehicle, adaptions to getting a wheelchair into a vehicle, but also just what do you need to know to pass a driver's test, or how can we help support families who are wanting to pass the driver's test with FOP. But there is still some wiggle room in our topic lineup. We have 4 quarters in 2022 that will be addressing different topics in. And one thing that I would say, I don't have any other questions that have come in at the moment. Oh, one more that we'll get to after this, but one other thing I would say is that, Karen and I, the IFOPA Family Services programs are very directly geared towards our community members. So we feel that it is our job to listen to all of you and your needs and your requests, and do our best to design programs to meet those. And so as much as we try to be involved in social media and in hearing and following sort of what are the trends or the topics that are coming up where people are requesting support, we try to, lean into those conversations and learn from them, but there's no better, more helpful way for us to know what resources we can create than to hear from all of you. So if there is a gap in our services, if there is feedback, I hope that everyone knows that Karen and I are always welcome and inviting to that information, because it's the most effective way for us to make our programs as efficient as possible. Karen, do you want to take a stab at any of the other questions that have come in?
The only other one, there was one. Okay, so there was one about, we've had a lot of interest in some of the social events that you all have attended this weekend, and I know everyone loves to see each other and get together. And there was a question about the Zoom account that the IFOPA has. So we do have a Zoom account that we have that is available to anyone that wants to hold their own kind of little meet and greet, or have some kind of social event on their own, or have a game night on their own and invite people. So all you have to do is to email Hope or myself, and we can get you set up with the links that are from the Zoom account that we own that you have access to. So if you loved some of the social events this weekend, make sure to reach out to us if you're wanting to plan one of your own, so that the community can stay connected after this weekend. And then let's see. Oh, Hope, there's one that might be for you. It says, how do I suggest a book for the Friendship Over Pages book club?
Yes, so we have a Facebook group for the Friendship Over Pages book club. And sometimes when we're coming up on the next quarter, I'll ask for suggestions from people who have already participated, who are already a part of that Facebook group. But if you have never participated in the Friendship Over Pages book club, you can keep an eye out in 2022. We'll have information in the newsletters. But if you want to suggest a book ahead of the next sort of poll for which book we'll read, please just reach out to me via email. My email's on the screen. You can see it there at hopenewport@ifopa.org. You can find me there, or I'm also on Facebook as Hope Newport. So send me a message, either one of those platforms, and I'd be happy to include it. And what we usually do is, for each quarter, we have sort of a polling period where we'll share the book choices with the community, and then give people several weeks to vote on those. And then when we meet, it usually ends up that our group is split. So we'll have several people reading one book and another group reading a separate book. So a lot of quarters we've had multiple books going on at the same time, just because people have different interests, and it's great to be able to accommodate all of those. And the last question I saw is just about translation. So similarly to the family gathering, and you've all been able to access Wordly, that artificial intelligence translation, for all of our live events, for our webinars, for our advocacy series, our Zoom community panels that we do where we get to hear from individuals from the community. Translation is available for all of those sessions using the same Wordly service. So you'll be able to log in through Zoom, click on a tab, and then join the translation in one of the 21 languages they offer. Our podcast and all recordings of our webinars and our community panels done for the advocacy series have translation capabilities on YouTube. So there is subtitling that YouTube provides that you can turn it on and adjust to one of the many languages that they offer.
I hope, could I just add to that too, that the workbook and the worksheets that we are doing for the advocacy series, they're in English, but we're, I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, Hope, planning on translating them into Spanish. But if we have other language needs that are pretty popular that are coming up, it's not out of the question that we can have those translated in the future as well.
Exactly, Karen. And again, I would just say that if you're someone who's really invested in our resources, please reach out to us and let us know. If you love our advocacy series panels or our webinars and you want to access those resources in your language, it helps Karen and I know how to prioritize our work to hear that feedback from all of you. So I guess to end our talk, we would just like to emphasize communication is key. Please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. We love, now that we are in our second full year of virtual meetings, I know Karen and I are kind of starving for community interaction and the opportunity to continue to see all of you over Zoom meetings. So we're always more than happy to schedule those, and we hope to hear from all of you with some great tips and insight. I hope this family gathering has inspired you all to dream big for 2022. And if there's any resource needs that you have, please don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you. We have, let's see, one more general session presentation taking place today. So starting in just about 10 minutes, you'll be hearing from a panel of community members who are going to be sharing their experiences undertaking fundraising efforts, both big and small. So that'll be starting here soon. And then we will have a closing ceremony that will start at 3:10 Eastern Standard Time. So please don't miss the closing ceremony. It will be kind of our final opportunity to say see you later to all of our friends, to take a group photo and announce our top point earners on the prize leaderboard in the virtual event environment. So, and then I just also wanted to say, kind of echoing what we've already mentioned, that the family gathering survey is linked within our the resource center of the virtual environment, and it's also in an email that you'll be getting later today. So please keep an eye out for that survey. It is, again, one of the best ways we can improve our services is to hear feedback and input from all of you. So I hope you'll all take a moment to fill that out, and then we look forward to hearing and seeing you more later.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.